a couple of people tonight who have parent Asefot Yeshivot Pedagogio in their schools, and they asked me to record. This will be counted as
Melissa,
I'm speaking. 1 second, please.
sorry.
This will be counted as an absence for them, just so it's clear for you. However, they still wanted to learn the information. So I told them that I would record it for them so that they could have access to it later on to catch up. Yes, Shani?
Sorry. Next week, can you do it again? Because I have a parents' meeting in our school.
Please, yeah, but you have to remind me like 10 times. And
Okay,
then I
thank you
then I
very
hopefully
much.
won't forget. Okay, they kept reminding me today, and anyway, I almost forgot. So, Belina Azar, I will do my best. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and so then with the post reading and then the summative assessment, 6 to 8 questions, as opposed to, if you remember what a summative assessment used to look like, we'd have a whole multiple choice at the beginning with vocabulary and basic understanding, multiple choice questions, and so on. We don't have that anymore. Okay. The entire summative assessment is made of 6 to 8 questions. And all of those questions are analysis questions that allow students to display also their basic understanding, meaning they have to have basic understanding of the text in order to answer the question, right? It shows the language acquisition. They may be forced to use, for example, the present perfect or modals or whatever language you learned during the unit. They need to understand it in the question and use it in their answer to get full points. And overall, a deep and comprehensive understanding of the piece. And then finally, is the bridging one of those analysis questions? Yes, if you have done a bridging during the unit. If you have discussed the context and the background, the historical background while you're studying the piece, then, and that's one of the can-do statements that you have chosen to focus on during studying this piece of literature, then yes, you would also include it on the summative assessment. Are there any questions on that? So we are going to start working towards that goal today of creating a summative assessment, okay, that reflects what we have studied in the unit. And you see the word can do written all over here, okay, because we have can do's for all of these different sections. And those same can do's are reflected on the summative assessment and the questions that you create for the summative assessment. Okay. So I just included this. I should probably just put it straight in the Google Classroom. This is a checklist for adapting your literature unit. It's just a little extra for you. And a lot of you are taking this course and at the same time looking at your literature units in school and wanting to adapt them. So instead of saving this for the end of the course, I wanted to give it to you now, and you can bring it into your school, print it out, and as you're starting to adapt your units, which you really should be by now. Why is my phone making really strange noises?
I was going to tell you your microphone's making some strange noises.
My microphone is making strange noises. Are you getting feedback?
No, not feedback, like crackly noises.
So I'm going to plug in my, that's really annoying. So let me plug in my.
No, it's okay. It kind of disappeared, but it'll probably come back.
Okay, so tell me if this is better.
My headphones.
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, no problem. Anytime. Okay, so this checklist for adapting your literature unit, I'm not going to read out loud to you because you're all English teachers, but it goes through all of the different elements that you need to think about as you're adapting your old units, aligning it to the new curriculum. And you know, did I choose the appropriate overall and operative can-dos? Are they appropriate for my students' learning level? And then if you switch down to the end, does the summative assessment include questions that reflect what I taught in this unit with the can-dos being assessed? And I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. I know that I've even said this in the first session, but this is something that's really, really important. And in previous sessions, times that I've taught the course, it's taken a while for the participants to really grasp what I'm saying. Okay. And that's what the backwards design is about. We actually start by writing the summative assessment. We start by assessing what are my goals for this unit. We build a summative assessment based on those goals for the unit, and then we fill in what activities, what do I need to do to get my students to the final point of what I'm reflecting on this summative assessment. Okay. And in those evil words, which I used to really hate, we teach teaching to the test, right? I don't love that whole concept. I love the concept of exploring with my students. And you know what? If you end up going off in a different direction while you're working on your unit, that's okay. You can change the summative assessment. You can say, wow, we explored this whole area that I didn't expect to. And it was such a rich discussion. I want it to be reflected on the summative assessment. Change it, add that question, take off a different question. Okay? Be free. Okay. However, if we don't even start by looking at the summative assessment, we don't even think about where we're going, in the immortal words of, oh, Carol Wolf quotes them all the time, and I can't remember who it is. She even
What's
had
his face?
what?
It's what's his face?
What's his face says, if we don't know where we're going, we're going to end up somewhere else. Right? Which is kind of a silly thing. Like, of course, we'll go somewhere else if, but the point is that once we're in a classroom and we want to maximize our time in the classroom, we want to know where we're going. And if we end up going a little bit off to the side or we can change our destination, right? Waze will always recalculate for us. Nachon. However, we really have to stop and think before we jump in where we want to end up, or else we really won't even get out the front door. Every time a vacation comes, my husband's a principal, I'm a teacher, so we're really locked into to school vacations. And when we were on Shlichut in Australia, we had a vacation every quarter. They had like 10-week quarters, and then between each quarter there was 2 weeks off. And then the summer vacation was a little bit shorter. It was like 5 weeks instead of our ridiculous 8 to 9 weeks. And so what happened is every time we started a new quarter in school, we were already planning our next vacation, right? And when we needed to work towards that goal, otherwise we would get there and we'd be like, what did we do? Like, what are we going to do? What's our big hurrah? And so if we think of the summative assessment as a big hurrah where our students can really show what they've learned, then we really need to make sure that they are going to be proud of what they've done. Otherwise, they're really not going to know. Okay. And that's basically what backward design is. Now that I've gone blah, 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 I've talked so much, you don't even really need the slide. Okay. But except to say that there are many different theories of lesson design. And a transitional lesson design, for example, would be one where the teacher identifies content that they need to cover, builds relevant lessons, and then after they've built those lessons, they create the final assessment. Okay. And so there are pros and cons to each one. But if we focus really specifically on backwards design, which is what I would like to convince you a little bit of this evening, okay, we see that the backwards design model really seeks to encourage students to be much more intentional, teachers to be more intentional in their curriculum development and make the most out of classroom time. We have so little time with our students. We want to accomplish so much, and we need to make every minute count. And our students will feel that. They will understand that the teacher is not wasting their time. The teacher knows exactly where she or he is going and is really very well prepared for every class. And every time we start studying literature, it's not just, I remember when this literature program first started, and Count That Day Lost was the first, which I had never taught before, that poem. And I've been teaching literatures, since, for 30 years. It's not that it just started with the literature program here in Israel. And I think I took 2 months to teach one poem, because remember how long that unit was? Like, it was just like page after page after page after page of questions and questions and questions and questions. And I didn't know where it was going because I hadn't built that unit. I just copied it off of the portal, right, where they had put it up to help us out, to get us used to it. And I said, I'll do this one and I'll see where I'm going. I've never spent so much time in my life teaching one poem, and I'll tell you something, my students did not enjoy it at all, right? And I think it was very clear that I didn't know where I was going. Okay. And I wasn't able to make choices about what I was going to focus on with the poem and what not, because I hadn't written that unit. I didn't know it. Okay. And I didn't know what that summative assessment was going to have on it to be able to make sure that at least those points I hit. And then I said, okay, we spent enough time on this poem. Let's do the test. Right. So the backward design allows us to be more intentional and to really follow what's going on in the class. And then we can look, once we know all of that, it's much easier for us to focus on my students' process of learning rather than my own teaching. I already know my unit is very well planned. So now while the students are learning, I can facilitate their learning. I can support the ones who need more support. I can let the ones fly and be free that can fly and be free. Let them learn the poem quickly, get the point, do the summative assessment, and then do other enrichment work. Okay, because not every student needs to learn at the same speed as others. Okay. So hopefully this graphic will help us remember. I need to ask myself the questions. What do I want the students to understand and know and be able to do by the end of this unit? How do I check that they have learned it? And then which learning activities will lead the students to the desired results? Don't skip over the middle. Okay, we have to have chosen activities that actually prepare them for that final test so that they can succeed. Okay. And Elliot Wiggins has a wonderful, I'm just having trouble because my people are in front of my face and I can't see what's written on the screen. Just move this again. Sorry. Assess what you want your students to learn about the piece, choose the appropriate can-dos, write your summative assessment, answer the questions to make sure that they actually do what you want them to do. Do you know that's the most important part of writing a test? Is actually answering the questions. Okay? You don't have to raise your hand, but raise your hand inside your head. Have you ever actually answered all the questions that you've written for the students? Are they actually answerable? Are they clear? Are they different from one another? And what can-do statement do they actually test? Right? Are they actually assessing? Okay, we need to design the unit, create the activities and worksheets. And so this is what you will be doing starting next. We're going to be playing with bits and pieces of it today, but this is what you're going to be doing to create a unit with backwards design using a unit planner by the end of the course. Okay, Elliot Wiggins is really the king of backwards design. He's done a lot of teaching and a lot of talking about it. And he gives some examples here. And I'll leave the site here. You can go and read, you can read more on your own. But what I wanted to do is show you the examples that he put up here, and specifically this example. Okay, so here's they use different language. They're still doing the should be able to, but the can do and be able to, in my mind, maybe I'm not, maybe I don't understand well enough, but I think it's really very similar, the two. Okay, so big grades 11 to 12, students should be able to use precise language, domain-specific vocabulary, and techniques such as metaphor and simile and analogy to manage the complexity of the topic in the work of literature. Okay, and so then it tells us what's their assessment, what learning they will do in order to prepare them for the assessment, what progress, how will we show the progress? Before they write their final poem, students should be able to define and give examples of figurative language via quizzes, worksheets, and other in-class assessments. Okay, this is formative assessment, or in Judy's words, the stop and check. Okay, let's stop and check to see what our students actually can do. Voila, we might realize that our students have really mastered everything and we don't have to reteach something that they've already learned, And maybe not, maybe there are things that we need to reteach. And then finally, the outcome. Students will be able to effectively use figurative language as it relates to their own experiences in a way that they can understand. And that is this teacher's final outcome for this unit. Okay, so there is backwards design in one example, and he has other examples here on the page as well. Any questions? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do tonight is I'm going to put you into random breakout rooms, 3 in a room, and you have questions on this Thank You Ma'am unit planner. Let me put the link in the chat right now before I divide you up. And I would like you to choose 3 questions on there. Okay, you have to scroll down until you find the summative assessment below the unit. Whoops. And I would like you to write answers to those questions. Okay, write an answer key for 3 questions on the summative assessment. And then my next question is, in what manner is this question and answer assessing the master can do? Like you'll see for each question on the summative assessment, there's the can do, and then there's the question. And I want you to look and see, yesh hatama, does it match? Okay. And how did they structure the question to trick the students into showing their mastery of that can do in the answer that they're giving? And I'd like you to discuss this in your groups. Okay, so take a picture of this screen so you have all of this information with you. And I am going to divide you up into breakout rooms. But I have to stop sharing because I can't manage that. I am going to stop the recording first of all. That whole discussion about recording.
We did only one question. We thought about one question.
That's okay if you only did 1 instead of 3. It's okay. So I hope it was an interesting experience. Did anybody disagree with the can do? That it didn't work? They don't understand what the question was about? They couldn't answer the question? Give me a little bit of feedback on your experience in your group just now.
Yes, there wasn't a correlation between the can do statements and the
Oh, you don't
the
think
question.
there was? Okay.
I don't think there was. No, they were asking about, the statement was about feelings, and the question was something else. It was factual question.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
why did he steal? He stole because he needed a pair of shoes. That's it. So what does it have to do with the can do statement?
With feelings.
With feelings.
So maybe how could you answer that question in a different way that does involve feelings? He felt inferior to other people, that he felt like he didn't have enough things.
So you're going into his interior.
Okay, so but you bring up
State
a
of
really
mind.
good point that Solomon, the teacher better make darn sure when they're asking that question that the student is guided into talking about what was Roger feeling in order to cause him to steal the pocketbook, right? Not the facts, not the basic understanding of the story, okay, but rather the inner dialogue that was going on inside him as he was that caused him to steal. That's
you go into his mind and you go to his mental thinking.
That's only something. The important part of the story isn't that moment on the street. The important part of the story happens in her house when she shows him trust by leaving the pocketbook on the bed next to him, and then she asks him a question and he doesn't answer, and then later on, after she's fed him and shown him more generosity, he slowly opens up and admits what was going on inside him. So the story actually happens on a very psychological level, much more than the action. It's about what's going on inside these people and the connection between these people. And that's something that we want to get our students to understand as we're studying the piece, not just the what happened next of the piece, okay, but put on a different lens, Okay, put on the lens of psychologists, okay, and understand what's going on internally as we're reading the story. And that's what we want to elicit from them by asking a very carefully crafted question on the summative assessment. I'm actually really glad, Solomon, that we had this conversation because it emphasizes my point that we really have to be careful what we're asking, that we're very careful in how we construct the questions. Tovit, you have your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to say that I worked with Shani and we saw that there is a correlation between the can do and the question. It wasn't easy to come up with all the possible answers.
Okay.
For example, we chose a question that talked about if you were a family member of one of the characters, and we tried to come up with all the possible answers and think how they might maybe word it and put it and show that they understand the story.
Okay.
But it was a good experience.
Ah, I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Thumbs up. Did other people agree with that? It was an interesting experience. Whether you thought it was a bad question or a good question, it was an experience as a teacher to make us realize what we need to get involved in. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. So we have a lot to do tonight, so we're going to move on unless there's somebody else who wants to share. Anybody else? I have so many slideshows here open. Which one do I want next? Okay, so this is what we just did. And you discussed whether or not the can do aligns. Okay, we're going to go back out into breakout rooms in a few minutes where you're actually going to start writing your own summative assessment. However, before that, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about formative assessment. Okay, formative assessment is the stop and check along the way. Okay, so if you take the conversation that Solomon and I just had, okay, we want to see where are my students? Are they barely understanding that the boy stole the pocketbook? Are they still fixated on the blue suede shoes, but they have no idea why? Are they understanding the inner psychological dialogue and the change that Roger goes through? The understanding that Mrs. person with the very long name who I'm blanking on right now, like what she guides, the process that she guides him through or not. Okay, we want to know where the student is. So we need to think, what are some of the things that we can do in class or that you do in class to stop and check where the student's holding? What is their understanding of the piece of literature? And if it's the language or the vocabulary or the basic understanding or the able to use, able to compare and contrast, like whatever it is we're asking them to do, whatever they can do is, how do we stop and check? Can you please write in the chat before we get to the summative assessment? How do you stop and check during the unit what the student's understanding and capabilities are in regard to the can-dos? What do you use? Please write in the chat. Elliot Wiggins mentioned a few in his article. What did I do tonight at the beginning of the session? I will give an extra 5 points to anybody who can use games to answer this question. What games can we play to check understanding? 5, an extra 10 points. Ooh, Katerina's getting all the points tonight. Mm, 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 mm. Anything else? Ravit, any ideas? Sigalit, Mais, Solomon, Sima, Orit, Daphna.
Melissa, I'm here.
Great, answer the question.
Yeah, it's PTA. I sent you a message
Yeah, I don't want to talk
today.
about it now. I don't want to, I want to focus on what we're discussing in the lesson now,
Yeah, I'm
please.
at school. That's why I'm
Yeah,
late.
but I don't want to talk about other things now. Oral basic understanding questions. Okay, so we've got some ideas here. Story dice. I wrote story dice. Is anybody familiar with story dice? You have you can make your own paper die, and in each side of the die, there's a different question. You can change those questions, and in groups, they can do certain reviews, and you can walk around while they're doing any of these games. If it's online games or cards on the table with different questions on them, or shooting questions at them in class, which could be embarrassing maybe if they don't really know what's going on. Quizlet, oh, dominoes, that's interesting. How do you use dominoes? Explain what that is. Like I know what dominoes are, but how do you use dominoes to check their understanding?
Yeah, just as regular dominoes, I have a question and answers, questions and answers on each domino, and they have to understand if that answer fits the question and find a place for it.
Oh, cool. I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it
That is an
works.
excellent idea. I love
I
it.
love that.
Thank you.
Okay. Similar to that, it's a little more complex, like dominoes might be even better. Have you ever played with hexagons with your students? Hexagonal thinking? I wasn't planning on talking about this tonight. We'll get into it more on another night. But I'll just show you very quickly, like we'll get into it very quickly. You've got a series of hexagonal shapes, okay? And each one you can either write, it's not a good picture that they're showing. You can have on here, maybe this is better. You can have on each hexagon, a word written, and then they have to connect them depending and show the connection between one thing and the next. Okay, so you have here, you could have different characters' names or different themes in the story, different characteristics of characters, and any sides that touch they have to have something in common, like what Katerina was just saying with the dominoes. But in this case, there's more sides, so it gets a little bit more complex as they make the connections between one hexagon and the next. And then once they've made those connections, you can do a gallery walk where they need to actually support their point of view, right? And say why, and also with the dominoes, they have to be prepared to defend their choice and explain why they made those two sides matching. So it could be the simple linear, the match of the, dominoes of 1 to 1, or you could make as you create the line of dominoes, it could get more complex, or you can try something with triangles. So there's only 3 sides, or hexagons with 6 sides, which is the most complex. So it's hexagonal thinking. It's really interesting. The students love it because it's not a one-off answer. It's not a 1-to-1. This is the question, this is the answer, but they can make their own they can make their own unique thinking process known and make their own connections and then explain how they see those connections. So that's another way that you can check to see what they're up to along the way. And of course, simple quizzes, right? Either Google form quizzes, as was mentioned at the beginning, or other kinds of quizzes as well. We want to see what they're up to as we move on. Okay. So speaking of moving on, we'll move forwards again to, I'm going to save some of your ideas and I'll write it into this chart while you're in breakout rooms. Okay, I'll save the ideas on that chart. So now you're going to go back into breakout rooms. Okay. And actually I'm taking out the first one because I'm actually dividing you up randomly into rooms, and you'll decide in your room which piece of literature you would like to work on. Okay, based on the two or three of you that are in the room, you'll choose one piece. And what you need to do is you need to find one language item that you're planning on teaching them in that piece of literature, one literary device, okay, that you want to, literary device meaning metaphor, simile, foreshadowing, different symbols, symbolic language, those are the things. And there's more listed in the handbook. And then find a can do that relates to these items. I changed the activity, and I see I missed to these items. Okay. Meaning the literary device and then also the language item. Write them at the top of the slide. Develop a plan to teach each of those items. Use an AI tool to help you create the activities if you want, no problem, ChatGPT or whatever else you like to use. And then also write a question for the summative assessment that will demonstrate the mastery of the language can do, and another one for the literary device. Okay, there's links here to the suggested, but you can find, where to find on the portal, the links to this generic summative questions, etc. Okay, so take a picture of the slide, but I also have here for you, this time you're writing your answers in Google Slides, which I will show you the layout right now. One second. I had it here, the
Can you
breakout
send the
rooms.
other link as well?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I can do all of them. Okay, so here you have your each group will have one slide. So you start typing on the slide and make sure nobody else is typing on your slide. Okay, the language items chosen, the can-do statements chosen, the activity here, and then 3 summative assessment questions, and then the can-do statement that's being assessed for each question. But you already wrote the can-dos up there, so it's the same can-do, so that doesn't make sense. And repeat here for the literary device. You might need to use 2 slides each, that's fine also. Okay, if you decide that you do this one for the language item and then take another slide for your literary device, you can do that as well. Okay, so here is the link to this slideshow. Okay, and here is the link, whoops, wrong one. Here is the link to the the generic questions. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to copy this link. Okay, and I will put that into the chat as well. Generic questions. Okay, so I'm going to break you up into breakout rooms again. And once again, decide between you what piece of literature you're going to be working on, okay? And this time I'll give you about 20 minutes to work together, okay? But don't waste the time, okay? Really get started right away. And if you're done earlier, you can come back. And when everybody's back, we can move forwards, okay? Well, I'm actually doing pretty well with remembering to start the recording. Sorry, before I started the recording, those of you who are joining us from afar, we were talking about how AI can help us with answering these questions. Okay, I have a fun little activity for you to do. I probably should have put this earlier in the session. This is a word wall where a lot of you wrote that you can use a word wall to review with your students. And so this is a word wall which will help us as teachers review the can-dos. Let's see if it opens. Tali gave me this link. Yep. Okay, so we have our, oh, we have to grab these and drop them into the right one. Where and when does the story take? Whoa, this is way too fast. Discuss an author? Oh my God, I can't do this.
But you
Here's a
can
convincing
change
word. I can
the
slow
speed.
it down. How do I slow it
Yes.
down?
In settings.
Holy cow. 1 second, it's being blocked by my Zoom screen. Oh, I am not doing this and embarrassing myself in front of you. Where are the settings?
I don't know. But you have to log
If the
in.
events happen today, how would they be different? Which
But
type of
wait,
question is that?
I
Okay,
think
let's
you
do this
could
together. We'll just grab them. If the events happen today, how would they be different?
you could
Maybe
change the
plot?
template, Melissa. You could change the
Plot?
template. You
Okay,
can
let's just do this together. Describe a family tradition and compare it with a character's tradition.
Alyssa, try to
Okay.
switch the template.
Okay, go down.
No. So
And
you can switch the template on your right. Just scroll
Yeah,
up.
on the side.
oh,
Yeah,
right here,
Yeah.
up here.
Scroll
Should we
up
maybe
to the
group
do?
side.
sort.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so stressful.
I tried it and I was like, oh my God, I can't.
Of course, now we just can't see anything. 1 second.
Oh.
We have neither speed nor vision. Okay. Describe
That's so
the
small. Oh my gosh.
okay.
So
Describe the
let's
personality of a character using evidence. Shout out what category?
Character.
Character. Oh, this is much better. How does the author help you feel like you are there?
Setting.
Setting. Okay. Describe a time you faced a similar problem as the character. How did you solve it?
Comparison.
Comparison. Whoops. Describe a time that you had a similar oh, okay. Describe and explain why you would or would not like to have lived in the time or place of the story.
Comparison.
Comparison.
I'm going to go with
Setting, right?
setting, time and place.
Setting.
Setting. What is the turning point of the story? What changes?
Plot, climax,
Plot
resolution.
resolution.
Awesome. Explain how a character is acting and why.
Character.
Character.
Where and when does the story take place? How does it affect the events?
Setting.
Setting.
How is the story resolved? Was it the best ending?
Plot,
Plot.
climax, resolution.
Resolution. Mm-hmm.
How is a specific theme shown in 2 works?
Theme.
Theme.
2 different works.
Yep.
Author.
Comparison.
Comparison.
Which characters change and which do not? Why is this important?
Character.
And also
Character.
comparison.
I'm wondering what happens if we put something in the wrong place. Describe a character's behavior. Does it change? So
Also
that
character.
should be character, but let's try putting it in
Put
setting.
it in author's craft
Oh,
for a
it lets
second.
us put it anywhere.
Oh,
But then we have
Yeah,
to
but that is character.
but then we have to submit our answers. Okay. Pick one character and explain why you would or would not like him as a friend.
Character.
Describe a favorite part of the story of the piece and explain why.
Explain why.
Plot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with plot also. What is
Resolution.
the problem the speaker in the poem faces?
Plot, also
Theme.
resolution.
Plot, climax,
Yeah,
resolution.
yeah. How would the story change if told through another character's eyes?
Character.
Isn't it comparison as
Nice.
well?
How would the story change through
Could
another
be
character's
comparison as well.
eyes? It could be comparison.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Okay.
Wait, what do you mean by author's craft or style?
Who knows?
It's empty over there in the corner. You could compare like two different styles. Like if you have, if you study with your students a story that's written as a series of letters, like letters back and forth between two characters, okay, that's a very unique style. Why did the author choose to write the story in that style? Or in the first person or in the third person? Different types of poems, different style poems, okay, affect the meaning.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I put there. But what about theme?
Well,
We're also ignoring
What
theme.
about the last question? Could it also be the theme? What is the problem the speaker in the poem faces? Can it also be the theme?
The problem the speaker in the poem faces. Yeah, it could be also. Let's put it over there just because it's empty and let's see what happens. But the climax of the story, what's the climax, obviously would go over here.
If you look at the green one, why do you think the author wrote this story? Maybe this one is the author's craft.
Okay. Yeah, because
Maybe.
there's nothing else that's talking about the author. So that would be a
Yeah.
good choice, you know, because it's the relationship between the author and the piece that he wrote. Describe an event in your life and compare it to the story.
Compare. Comparison.
Would that
Text,
or
self, world.
Text self, yeah.
yeah, comparison?
Yeah.
Text to text, text to self. Okay. How does the character's actions affect other people?
Character.
Character, yeah.
Describe a family tradition and compare it with the character's tradition.
Comparison.
Comparison.
Discuss how an author creates a convincing world.
Craft.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm.
How is the story resolved?
Plot,
Resolution.
climax, resolution.
I feel so relieved that we're not doing the timed version of this. I cannot tell you. I was so stressed. If a minor character, I mean, you know, it's like 6:30 at night for me too. If a minor character got a spin-off, what would we learn? Oh, that's funny.
That's a really interesting thing.
That's a great
Wait a second. That could go in
question.
any direction. That could
Yeah,
go in
okay.
theme. That could go in character,
If a minor character got
resolution. I mean, that could change the entire
a
story.
spin-off,
What, Solomon, what did you suggest?
I think it's a climax or peripety or something like that. It's a turning point, something like I don't know what they really mean, but I'm guessing. I don't know.
What if a minor
Maybe
character
it's a
it
a
could be
spin-off.
author's craft also. Or theme.
or
I don't know. It's a
Yeah,
great
or
question
maybe a
though.
climax, or maybe
It's a really good question.
Yeah, it is. It's excellent.
I love it. Which character taught you the most?
Also good.
What did they teach you? It's not really about character. Maybe theme. I'm going to go with theme on that one also. Because generally the character, like through the character, you're learning about the theme of the text, right?
Right.
Which idea in the two works are universal?
Comparison.
Comparison.
Two works, yeah.
Comparison or theme?
Comparison.
Oh, it could be both, but I think comparison.
Yeah, it can be both.
All right, well, we'll put it here, but I think I would put it maybe in theme. What choices did the character have? What did they choose?
Character.
Character.
Did you like the ending? How would you change it?
Mm-hmm. Plot. Or
Plot,
comparison.
yeah,
Resolution,
plot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe set, maybe
resolution.
no.
Sorry.
Explain a character's problem and give the character advice.
Character.
character or theme?
I don't know. It could go either way, couldn't it? Wow. It's really hard to classify some of these.
Because like 100%, because it's all one piece,
Yeah.
right? So I would definitely, there are a lot that I would definitely copy twice. Describe what would happen if you brought the character that you identified with you to school or home.
It's funny.
That's a good book report question.
Yeah, that's an excellent book report thingy.
What would happen? I have a funny book report question that I often used to ask my students. Write a dialogue where you've invited the character to dinner
Oh.
in your home. Who would you invite to the table, and what would the conversation be?
That would be interesting, depending on the book they chose, wouldn't it?
Used to drive my students batty. Like, do we have to? What would I do?
Well, I brought Voldemort home.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great question. Okay, describe what would happen if you brought the character home with you.
I don't know. It would change the theme. I mean,
I'm gonna go
setting,
with comparison.
Also
The
the
text
setting, it changes also the setting if you take it
setting.
home.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the essence of the question, because it's not
Right, it's more about the
about
character and
setting.
who they are in the story, isn't it?
Yeah, I would go with the text to self. Like, you're bringing that character into your life, and how would that, I'm not sure about that, but I'm gonna guess with that.
Yeah.
What lesson does the story teach about life?
Theme.
Yeah. What is the turning point, and how does it affect the characters?
Plot.
Yeah.
Climax
definitely.
resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the setting important to the story?
Setting.
Dead giveaway. If the events happened today, how would they be different?
Comparison.
Comparison or setting?
Comparison.
Setting, I guess.
Could
No,
be
they could be
both.
both,
They
really.
both
Both.
But do you
Because it would be
compare?
like
Compare.
how would a change of setting change the story? Right?
So
Because
it's
the
both. I
setting
mean,
is
it's
also the
literally
setting of
both.
time. Yeah, it literally is both. You're absolutely right. Okay, so we'll put it down here so it's like bridging between the two. Okay. Compare a character to a character from another text, song, or film.
It's obvious comparison.
Yeah. Okay. What quality of a character would you want to develop in yourself, and why?
Ooh, character.
Okay.
Oh, so-
Pick a scene where you disagreed with a character's actions and rewrite it.
Oh my God, it also goes more than one place. I
Pick
guess
a
character, no?
Comparison, yeah. Text self, I guess.
We have
scene
many
where you
questions related to
disagree.
the point of view of reader, so maybe we should have another category in here.
That's a
Yeah.
very good point.
I agree with you.
Describe a problem that you faced and compare it to a character's problem.
Comparison.
Text to self.
Comparison, text to self. Okay. Somebody's got a lot of noise back there. Solomon, are you talking to somebody? How does
No,
this?
no,
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I just heard a man's voice, so I assumed it was you. How does the speaker solve the problem?
Resolution.
Plot.
Resolution.
Yeah. How does the author make events seem realistic?
Author's
Author's
craft.
craft.
Nice. Okay, see, we didn't leave it. What real life events or people do the story's events remind you of?
Theme.
Text word comparison, right?
A real life events. I wasn't listening to myself. What real
Maybe.
life events does or people do the story's
Text
events
No, I think
word.
you, right, yeah.
What about
Text to
craft
self, isn't it?
style?
Text to world. Yeah, comparison.
Okay. Are we ready?
Moment of
Ready?
truth.
We're not ready.
Submit.
What about that one that's stuck?
Oh,
stuck in
did
the
I
middle
miss
there?
one? Oh no, that's part of setting.
Oh,
That's
okay.
part of setting, yeah. Okay, submit answers.
Oh, wow.
Oh my Lord.
Oh, Lord.
We have many wrong ones.
We gotta do some
We got
work,
quite a few
Melissa.
wrong.
No, come back. Show us again. Game. Oh
Oh
well.
wow, that was
Well,
quick. We couldn't go over our
That was
show
very
answers.
quick. Yeah, I would have taken a
28
picture.
out of
Show
Oh, show it.
answers. Can you
Oh,
show?
show answers. here.
Here.
Oh, these are my answers?
My God, they're all going to be teeny tiny.
Correct
Focusing
answers
you
now.
disagreed with the characters.
No, that is our
Yeah,
answers.
let's look at the
but,
correct answers. Yeah, you're right.
Correct answers now.
Okay, let's
On the
just,
bottom, click on, yeah.
Yeah.
but now we'll never see. Like what's what. Let's see what's under
Wow.
author's craft. How does an author make events seem realistic? So some
Click
of
on
them,
the
like, we said if a minor, see the minor character getting a spin-off, I thought it should be Arthur's Craft, but
You're
you made
right.
a convincing argument for why it should be in a different place.
Yeah.
So listen, I don't think that, we were right or wrong, but I think it was a really interesting activity. Tali gave this to me.
It's really
Depends on
cool.
your interpretation, Lisa. Again, analysis
Yeah,
and
yeah.
interpretation.
So I put the link to this word wall in our Google Classroom. So you can play with it, you can bring it to your staff. I think it's, the reason I brought it to you tonight was to kind of increase our awareness of the types of questions that are generalized questions, but maybe, we can, these are generalized questions, but I'm sure as these questions popped up, we were thinking about specific pieces of literature that they could apply to. And I really like that list of literature, that it has nothing to do with can-do statements. I don't know why I put it on this slide. I thought it was can-do statements. But then these questions can be connected to the can-do statements that you've chosen based on the category that they belong in. And then just a little did you know here, when you're searching for a can-do statement, you can go into the curriculum, okay, and once you open the document, you can do a Control F looking for a statement that you want. So let's say you're looking for a statement that has to do with comparing or with plot or something like that. If it ever opens here, okay, here we have curriculum files. We'll open the B1 Word document. Extremely slowly somewhere. This is not it yet. Here. Sorry. Okay. So once this opens, la 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 la. La, okay, I can do a Control F, and then I can type in the word plot. I'm just, randomly. And it brings me down to the places in the can-dos that have to do with plot. Okay, so we see this is the B1 written reception. The overall can read and adequately comprehend text on familiar subjects and or topics of interest containing level appropriate language. Okay, and then since this has to do with reception, we have can follow the plot of stories with a clear, transparent storyline. Not a very exciting one. Can relate the plot of a book or film and describe his or her reactions. Okay, so can actually tell back the story, and a lot of you asked questions about describe her reactions. How did you feel about it? What did it make you think about, etc. So there's actually a can-do statement in spoken production that has to do with that, connecting it to the plot. Okay, so those are the two that we found in the specific. Does somebody else want to give me another word to search for? A skill that you would want them to show? Let's talk about climax. Or I just typed it in, so let's see. Climax, not giving me anything. Okay. Let's
Maybe
try
plot.
Plot structure. Oh, I already did plot.
Oh, right. Okay.
Resolution. No.
Maybe character. or compare.
Can describe and explain a character's feelings. Great. Okay, that's a personal response to text. Analysis of a creative text can compare and describe key themes and characters in short language appropriate narratives. Can describe, yeah. Okay, so that's just a good thing to know. That you can actually search on your own. However, really, they realized that it was very hard to find the can-dos appropriate for literature, which is why they went ahead and they made those cheat sheets for you. And I actually put them into our Google Classroom also. Here's the can-do drag and drop. This is the check-in that we did at the beginning. And here in the Google Drive, for some reason it's a draft. I have to figure out how to assign it to you. But you know how to find the links in the handbook. Okay, if you simply go to the portal and into the literature handbook, they've got the links to all of those lists for you now. Okay. So let's just see, let's see what else I was planning on doing tonight. It's getting late and I'm teaching again at 7:30. So I don't want to run overtime. Yeah, so the last thing we need to do tonight is we need to form groups. Okay. So what I would love for you to do is to actually, if you have a piece of literature that you would like to work on to create a new unit of study, can you write, please, the name of that piece of literature in the chat for the group? And if anybody else would like to join up, I would like to have groups no more than 3 people per group. Okay. We can have 2 or 3 per group. And so go ahead and write the literature that you'd like to study in the chat. And then if you see something that somebody else is interested in, that somebody else also wrote, then you can join up together. And I would love it if it was pieces that were not part of the core program, things that are a little bit more outside of the box, new things that you noticed that don't already have units written for them. Aligning a piece of literature is kind of boring at the end of the day. Ooh, the bells. Katerina, you are getting all the points tonight. The bells, 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 the tintillabuation of the bells, bells, bells. Okay. Anybody else? So now what you can do is you can respond. Okay, so let's see. Daphne wrote Beware of the Dog. Daphne, that's a different one that people may not, there are a few here that people may not be familiar with. Sima, tell us about the caged bird and see if you can sell it and convince somebody else to join you.
I actually just read it for the first time this evening.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to choose something that I've never done, and I've done besides the bells. I think I've done everything that's here. So
is it a poem, a short story?
Oh, it's a poem by Maya Angelou. You know, it's like on one hand talking about freedom and the other about lack of. It's very interesting.
She also has a novel, doesn't she?
Yeah. Oh,
I know why the caged bird sings. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the poem.
I'll tell you in a second. It's a free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream. That one? I don't know which one you're referring to. I just chose this one. I don't know Maya Angelou at all.
No, I know there is a novel by Maya Angelou.
I mainly only read science fiction, so.
Oh, wow.
I don't.
Okay, so if somebody would like to join up, I'm really going to push the pieces. I'm being honest. I'm trying to push the pieces here that we haven't studied before. Okay, I'd love for you to bring.
That's what I want to do. I want to start something from scratch. So
okay,
if anyone's interested in the challenge,
to join Sima with that. Okay, who else do we have here? The landlady, Denise. Can you tell us a little bit about the landlady and why you chose that?
Oh, I only read the beginning. It's just because someone recommended it to me. I think it's mystery, it's a thriller, but I really have to. I just love Roald Dahl, and I just want to teach another piece of literature by him because my students really loved Lamb to Slaughter. But I know it has a twist, and I have to read it myself. But
okay, all right. Okay, so I would love it. I would love to see that because people really do like Roald Dahl's pieces. So I'm inviting somebody to join Denise, 2 people. Ekaterina, the bells. Why did you put this in here?
Well, I love Edgar Allan Poe to begin with, but as for studying it, I think there are a lot of literary connections that can be established, like with John Donne, No Man is an Island, and through that also to Hemingway, and that can be interesting.
Okay, great. And it's fun to read in class as well because it talks about all of these different types of bells and the different sounds of bells, and it can make really fun choral reading in class. I've taught it in class, and there's a lot to go with there. Okay, thank you. Daphna, you wrote Beware of the Dog. Why is that your choice?
I love stories about wars, especially about World War II, and it's about like a pilot from the Royal Air Force that he was flying. He was on a mission, on a flying mission, and then he got injured, and then he landed on like he was seriously wounded, and then he was treated in a hospital where a lot of psychological events happen to him, and then he doesn't understand whether he's in Germany or France, and it goes from there. So it's very interesting.
So this is also by Roald Dahl.
Yes.
And it's a short story?
It is a short story indeed.
Okay. All right. Cool. So maybe the 2 Roald Dahl people, maybe you want to join up and decide which one to work on. Okay, if you're both interested, and I think that's a great idea.
Okay, we have 4 people already on Caged Bird.
Oh, so you'll have to divide up into 2 groups. I'm being very strict. Only 2 to 3 people
only
per
pairs?
group. Only 2 or 3 people. No more than 3. If it's more than 3, somebody doesn't do anything. Okay, and I really want you to all be involved in the process.
Okay, sorry whoever, but Katarina wrote me first.
So I can join Katerina, the bells.
Okay,
if you don't mind,
Great.
Katerina.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so all right, so Katerina and Katerina will be together.
Yeah.
You know what? Can you all make it easier for me if you've made your decision on what group you want? And nobody can work alone. You all have to join up in a group. Okay. If you didn't decide, then I'll just put you in a group. Please write down. I'm going to give you, I actually prepared a document. 1 second. I prepared a spreadsheet here, and I will ask you to please write. No, not view, edit. Copy link, done. Put it in the Zoom. Okay, please everybody write yourselves in here. You'll see there's the name of the piece of literature and then the 3 group members. Okay. And if there's something that you still really want to work on, put your name there and see who will join up with you. Okay. And I feel like the next session, I'll write in our WhatsApp group what to do with it. Okay. But everybody tonight choose a piece of literature. Okay, and then soon I'll tell you what to do with it. Okay. I have to see when our next session is and when you're going to be.
Sunday, the next session.
But is it asynchronous or synchronous?
It's synchronous, if I'm not
Synchronous.
mistaken.
Okay, so
Yes,
then if that's the case, then you'll already be in groups, and then you'll be doing a lot of working on it already in the next session.
In
Okay.
2 sessions, it's asynchronous. In
Okay, fine. So
December
that's
14th.
That's perfect because next week you'll all work together in the session. I'll kind of direct you. And then the following session, you'll just meet like it's over Hanukkah, but you don't have to meet on Hanukkah. You can meet before or after in order to do more work on the unit without me. Okay? So have a good night. Please, everybody
Thank
sign
you.
up, and it's great to see you. And I didn't give you an exit ticket tonight, but you did lots of work, and I'll see what you wrote in the Google slides that you made, and I'll use that for your exit ticket. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
thank
I'll
you.
see you
Bye.
tonight. Come back at 7:30. We have a great session in Reed
The Reed
University.
University.
I'm gonna have more
Bye.
coffee, and I'm ready to go.
Bye.
Bye. Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.
Thank you.